Hey there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are making card cake. Me and my friend Georgie came up with this concept. It's cards that are actually cute enough to eat. I know it's silly, but we can be silly like that sometimes. So we're going to make a popsicle and a cat ice cream cone. This is the Popsicle Die Set from Trinity Stamps, and they're double scoop paper pack that looks like ice cream and frosting and cake and sprinkles. It's so cool. So I've die cut out a bunch of pieces here to make my popsicle, and you can see I have the background there from the printed paper. The front of this I am gluing down to a window sheet so that I can cut around it and create my own shaker. So not only is it going to be a popsicle, it's also going to be a shaker. I love all things shaker. If you do too, you should check out my Facebook page, which is Shaker Card Addicts. Come find us, and then you can share your shaker cards and see what other people are doing with their shakers too. I will have a link for it in the description box below. Yeah. And now I am putting on some foam strips. These are some narrow foam strips from Trinity Stamps that curve around things so beautifully. They're like extra bendy. I don't know. I love them, especially if you take the backing off before you bend them. They work beautifully. Just like that. I have a shaker. I am going to put a divider down the middle, not because I want different shaker bits on both sides of this popsicle, although you could do that. I just wanted to make it a little bit more sturdy. I am going to put the popsicle stick on the back, and then I'm going to add this to a white piece of cardstock that's the same size, just to make it a little bit more sturdy than just patterned paper. For my shaker bits, I'm using the Rich Espresso sprinkles. They look like actual sprinkles. They're so cool. So I'm going to put those on the popsicle itself, and then I can put my window sheet part over the top of that. I did add a little liquid adhesive too, because I am putting this down over my shaker bits. I wanted to be able to scoot it around if I needed to. So there you have that popsicle as a shaker. You could use it just like this. But we have this new cat and dog layered mug add-on. So there's a layered mug die set from Trinity Stamps that you can make into a bear. We then have this add-on die set you can use to make a cat or a dog. Now I took the smallest circle from our new layered circle die set and put it behind the eye, and it was the perfect white thing to put there and make my eyes have a white in the background. So I've cut out all my little dog pieces. I am putting them on a little bit differently than I would if I had a bigger space, but I just have this chocolate drizzle part that's a little smaller. So that patch that would normally go behind the dog's eye, I just turned it on its side, cut off the excess. The little heart in the center of the dog's nose is actually the cat's nose, but it looks like a little heart, and I love layering it on top. So I gave him 2 different colored ears, and he has that colored patch. Also, the little tongue, I just free cut it, but you could use one of those drips from this chocolate drizzle, die cut it from pink, trim it off, and that could be your tongue. So cute. So he's got his eyes, his eyebrows, and he's just so cute with all the pieces put together. I used a R20 marker to make a little line down the center of his tongue, and then he gets glued down right to the top of the popsicle, and now it is officially a popsicle. And it's so dang cute. So let's make a card to put this on. My card today is going to be 6 by 6. So I'm taking this checkered stencil set, and I am going to put this onto a piece of paper that is 5 3/4 by 5 3/4, a little bit smaller, so I'll have a border with my card behind it. I'm using 2 different shades of brown here, a darker milk chocolate and some hazelnut ink, and that's going to give me the 2-toned effect. Then I'm bringing the paw add-on stencil. Oh my goodness. I love this. You can make so many different looks. Now, we did have one that was clovers. We've had one that's hearts and X's. So a lot of different things you can add to this checkered background besides using the checkers by themselves. So I am going to add my paws only to the squares on my background that are the lighter color. And I'm going to do that with milk chocolate. So it's kind of a busy background, but you can make your busy backgrounds less busy by doing kind of a tonal effect with shades of one color. So that's what I'm doing. I'm using some tape to mask off the areas where they're darker. I only messed up once, but it's not going to show because my popsicle is going to cover it up. Then I am taking some cracked pistachio, because this color seemed the most minty that I had in my stash, and using the heart stencil and putting that in the open squares. So I've got plain brown squares, white squares with green hearts, and my light brown squares with the darker ink. Then I'm adding a little bit of color, a dusting to the stick just to help make it pop a little bit more. Next we have our paw print shaker tag, and this I'm going to turn into a cookie. A paw print cookie to go with my popsicle. So I just took the tag part off. I die cut the frame part, and you can use those actual fallout pieces instead of the frame. You can use it both ways, either way. And that's what I'm going to use, is those fallout pieces to make my little, I kind of wanted to go for like a sugar cookie effect, but maybe it's one of those like specialty dog treats. I actually got one for my dog once when I went on a trip. I brought him home this dog cookie from a bakery, and this totally reminds me of that. So I have some distress paste, and this is the one that looks like snow, but it's like clear glitter, and it's going to dry back a lot more clear so that you'll see the brown through it. It's just gorgeous. So I'm adding that to each of the pieces, and I put it on a little sticky paper so that it was easier to do. But then I found it's actually okay just to hold the pieces and put it on there. So I put it on kind of thick because I wanted it to be, you know, like frosting. And also I wanted to stick some sprinkles in there so it was even more cookie-like. So I have some green sprinkles, and I'm going with the lighter color there, and I'm using my pickup tool. So this is the Trinity Stamps pickup tool, and it's got the waxy end on one side, it's got the poker on the other. We've had this in our shop for a year or so, a long time. So if you haven't seen this, it is fabulous. I use it every time I craft. So I am using it here, as you can see, to press those little sprinkles into the paw print pieces and make it look like a cookie. I wanted the edge of my cookie to be a little darker than just the sponged on ink that I added. So I took the stamp pad itself and went direct to paper. You can see I added a very thin border of brown cardstock around this, but I didn't want to waste the middle of it. So I did some die cutting from that, as well as the fallout pieces from the popsicle to create my sentiment. So this says, "You're the coolest." This particular die that creates this sentiment comes with the Popsicle die set. So I thought I would go ahead and use that. So the "You're the coolest" die cuts the words in a little block, and then I just took the fallout from the O and the R and paper pieced those back in, glued it onto the green, so I've got that tonal two-tone sentiment there. I wanted to finish this off with a die cut word that says dog. So I have some glitter fun foam here that is from Spellbinders, and it die cuts beautifully. The glitter stays on, and that's going to be part of my sentiment. And while I was doing the foam, I thought, you know what, I should put the dog print cookie on a piece of foam. This is some super thick foam I've had for a long time. It's a retired product from Spellbinders, but it die cuts really good. So this really gave my cookie that depth and thickness that a cookie should really have. So I inked up the edges to give it a little more seamless look and glued the paper one on top. I'm going to let that dry, and while my sprinkled bits are drying too, I'm going to do some other things, like add white gel pen highlights to my popsicle. He totally comes to life. It gives it that look of being shiny as well. And I really wanted to give him some little freckles on his cheeks, and that totally completes the look. Okay, let's move back to the cookie. The pieces have dried now, and I'm ready to add them to the paw print itself. So it is a little bit warped from drying with all that paste on it. So what I'll do is glue all the pieces down, and then I'm going to take one of my heavy acrylic blocks, you know, the kind we used to put stamps on and stamp with before the Misty. And once that dried after a few minutes, now my cookie is ready to go, and I think it is so cool, and it makes me want to make these in like a bunch of different varieties. You know, the dogs, they got to have their different flavors just like we do. I added my card background to a border of that brown, the one I cut the saying from the middle, and then I can put everything together. So the popsicle I'm putting down with glue, I'm adding on my sentiment, and it says, "You're the coolest dog." But it could be like this, "You're the coolest dog," or it could be, "You're the coolest dog," right? Like the slang word. That's what I'm going for on this card. But the glue works so well to glue down the fun foam. I will link that foam for you in the description box below, along with all the other products I'm using, so you can check it out for yourself if you'd like. All right, the whole thing is being glued down to my 6x6 card base, so you will need 12x12 paper to make that size, and then just cut it in half, fold your piece in half, and you've got a card. It's very easy to do. There we have it. It's ready to go, ready to be mailed. I love that it has a shaker in it, and I loved it so much that I decided I couldn't leave the cat out. I had to make a card that used the cat face too, another card that is cute enough to actually eat. So let's make some more card cake and make our kitty ice cream cone. Here you can see what we're going to make. It's so much fun. We'll use some of the same products in different ways. So I have that paw print stencil. I'm only going to use the paw prints. So first I did Kitsch Flamingo for the first layer. I scooted my stencil over, and now I'm using spun sugar. So that's going to give me two different colors of paw prints for my background, and I just needed to do the last row, scoot it over to fill it in for this very large sized background. I need them large to fit all the things on there that I want to fit, like this ice cream cone. This is the ice cream cone die set from Trinity, and it is so much fun. I have used this before, but I'm going to turn it into a kitty cone. Yeah, it's fun, right? Okay, so now we have our ice cream cone die cut from vanilla paper that needs a little something. So I took my A35 marker and traced on the embossed lines that the die created for me. I also took that end of the Copic marker that we like never use, and that chisel tip, and went around the edge to really give it some shadow. I added the kitty's ears to the top of the cone. The little stripes are getting glued on like on the cat's forehead, and I love that the die creates all these pieces for me. I have the little eyelash pieces I'm adding. I love these, and they look really good if you add them with some of the other die cut eyes, like the die cut eyes of the bear work really good with the eyelash pieces. Next, we have the mouth and the little heart nose. Remember, this is the nose that I added to my dog's nose and layered it up. We also have whiskers. The die cuts all the whiskers for you, all 6 pieces at once. That's really cool. So there's my kitty cat face. So cute on the ice cream. Next, I will glue that onto the cone. It's going to cover up that opening, and then there's a tail in this die set for the cat that creates the handle of the mug, but I'm just going to use it as a tail, add it to my cone, and I think it just is that extra fun detail that the cat really needs. So you can see I'm going to move it in a little bit so it looks less like a handle and more like a tail. And I think that really helped. And also, I felt like my orange stripes were like a little extra, like they were maybe too close together. I could have done less stripes and put them farther apart. So with my white gel pen, I added a little squiggly line to them, and I feel like that helped. Plus, I like the white highlight, again, for the ice cream to make it look nice and shiny. I also wanted a cherry, so I used my Kitsch Flamingo to color a piece of cardstock to cut my cherry from, and then I just kept the same pink stem, but brought in my E27 marker to color out the stem so I didn't have to die cut it again from brown. And I think the cherry on top is so darling. It gives me like kind of a 50s diner feel. I don't know why, like a little cherry hat. Next, I want a shaker on this card too for my cookie. So I laid my ice cream cone on there so I could have a visual reference for where to cut this heart opening from the Dainty Heart cut and foil set. We're not going to use the foil part which says love you. We're just going to use the heart dies. So I die cut the opening from my card. Now I'm taking both of the dies, the Dainty scallop part and the solid heart, cutting them together and that's going to create a frame. And I cut it from a piece of white cardstock that I colored with Kitsch Flamingo so it would totally match. Next, I am covering up that heart opening in my background with a window sheet so I can create my cookie shaker. I'm putting foam tape all the way around. Make sure your foam tape always touches at the edges when you're making a shaker, and you'll save yourself a lot of grief. I have my orange sprinkles here. I am putting in the lightest color only. The darker one just didn't seem to go. It was a little more fluorescent than I wanted. And then I'll put in the pink sprinkles, and you can see, again, I'm using my pickup tool to add them in there so I can select the ones I really want. Then I have white sprinkles. I spilled them. Did you see that? That's all right. I scooped them up, put them back in, and I'm using the double scoop paper again. There's a pink pattern there that I thought totally looked like frosting. So I'm going to have that be the background of my cookie shaker. And look how yummy that looks with the sprinkles in there. It's just so fun. All right, I use the same alphabet, which is the modern embossed edge alphabet, to create my sentiment that says cat's meow. And I'm using the same Popsicle die set for you're the. So this is going to say you're the cat's meow. And I'm doing a pink and white piece for you're the, just like I did before on the first card. And then it's time to start putting everything together. I'm gluing down my kitty cat cone right next to my shaker. Remember, I already laid it on the background, so I know it's going to fit on. And I don't mind if things just ever so slightly hang off the background when I'm putting it on a card base that's a little bit bigger than my background. I actually really like that. Okay, so now we added our sentiment. I die cut the cat and the word meow from two different shades of orange, kind of like I did with the orange on the cat ice cream cone, and I love how that turned out with the two different shades. Next, I have some Peachy Keen Jelly Heart embellishments. I'm only using the frosted ones because I felt like they looked more like that softer orange colored cardstock that I used, and I put a few on there for embellishment. And that is not all, because I need some glitter. My first card had the glitter fun foam, and I felt like this card was, calling out for me to add glitter to it. So I've got my diamond stickles. I added it to the cherry, the cat's nose, and accented the letters with it as well. And then I was happy. I had some glitter on there, and you just can't go wrong with glitter at all. So there is the cat's meow card. I had so much fun making these cards. My next idea is to make the bear face on our cupcake card die. That would be really fun. So hopefully I'll get to that and share it with you guys. But for now, here's the cat, Popsicle, and the kitty ice cream cone. I am in love with how these turned out. They're just so much fun. And that's what card making should be about. It should be about fun. There's no stress in card making. So just have fun and see what you can come up with, and find new ways to use some of these dies, these little faces, and put them on different things. It just brings so much joy. Thank you for stopping by and letting me share my creations with you. I will be back again very soon with a new video just for you. Happy stamping! Bye!